Namaste. So we are here with Gautam ji once again, and today we are doing another episode on traits of the ego. Gautam, thank you so much for your time as always. So in today's episode, Gautam, I would like to speak with you about complaint and criticism. Knowingly or unknowingly, people engage in this, and this is something certainly Baba did not like. There are many leelas in the Charitra which, point to this. Like, for example, there was one leela where two devotees were pressing Baba's hands and feet, and one got critical of the other, and Baba was quite displeased. So he didn't like this trait at all. And as I said, knowingly or unknowingly, one may engage in this. So I felt if you could shed a bit of light on these two specific traits.
You see, complaining, in fact, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, very classical example of complaining. I know someone who's very wealthy, and yet, whenever we meet, she is complaining all the time. Now, the complaint could be the weather, the complaint could be the streets of Mumbai, how dirty, filthy, noisy Mumbai is, but the conversation is a complaint. What is a complaint? I don't like how things are. You see, and when that becomes a habit, means we have not accepted how things are, we are complaining about it all the time. You see, so the complainer is the ego which feels things should be a different way from what they are and wants to enforce their point of view all the time because it has got lost in its position, its self-created position, that this is what is, I don't like what is, and therefore I'm going to complain about it. So for a master, let's say if he has a student who's complaining all the time and another student who isn't, for the master it's a pointer. Which of the two students has got lost in the story of me and me wanting things a certain way and getting stuck in that position? So in our lives, what are we complaining about? What are we complaining about all the time? It's an invitation to look at that. Are you complaining about a particular situation? Then do what you can in that situation. That's all we can do. Do what we feel we can do best. Thereafter, it's God's will. I had a boy come to me, to my talks, who was having problems with his job. And every time he was complaining. So I said, look, mentioned to him, all right, I understand. Many of us are not happy in our jobs. Yet there's no other alternative. But if this dialogue is going to be a dialogue of complaint incessantly, we are making life miserable for ourselves and others whom we are telling, you see. So what is happening here? You are not happy with what is. Now, either you do something about it. In this case, speak to your supervisor. If you feel that door is closed, look for another job. If you feel that door is closed, stop complaining. Is the complaining achieving anything? Is it making things better for you? It's not. It's in fact your state of mind is a mind full of complaint. A complaint against God eventually. I don't like where you have placed me. That is what a complaint is, if you look at it objectively. And it's like even teachers like Eckhart Tolle have said that better is to walk out of a situation if it's driving you so up the wall. Walk out of the situation. But this constant complaining, constant criticizing is of no use because you are actually harming yourself. It appears that you're complaining about something outside of you, but the content of your consciousness is one of complaint. That is how split we are. Ultimately, what is the content of our consciousness? What we are thinking about all the time. So if we are complaining all the time, we are not happy with what is. Our consciousness is one of complaint. Is that vibration? That which is within our consciousness is our vibration, is what we are sending out to the world. In this case, complain, complain, complain.
Could we speak a little bit about criticism?
You see, they have very similar roots, criticism and complaint, because both have this me operating at the core. I don't like something, and so I criticize it. It's the same. I feel I know better. I feel I am the subject, the other is the object, and so I criticize the other, thinking I know best. This is how the ego functions. This is a classic trait of the ego. Whom are you criticizing and what are you criticizing? You are ultimately criticizing God's creation. Whether it is another person or a situation comes in your life only if it is meant to. You may call it your destiny, you may call it the hand of the divine, whatever. The fact that a situation has manifested means it is meant to. Now, how does one meet that situation? Does one meet it with criticism and complaint, or with the acceptance that this is here and now, I am here and now, and how best do I deal with this situation without making this whole story which I don't like and criticizing it till kingdom come? You see, so we can catch ourselves if we are with people, let's say with friends, and they criticize someone, and then I add to that, oh yeah, you're right, this person also said this person. We become part of that. How quick are we to criticize others? This is a good measure for where we actually stand on our spiritual journey. If we are honest with ourselves and we find that yes, we are criticizing, and Nick, this happens with peer pressure. If some friends get together and let's say they criticize the government, they criticize a friend who's not with them, or someone rich who's run off with money, and then everyone, that mob mentality comes together and we start criticizing this, that, we realize we are lost in the Maya. We are so invested in these stories that we are criticizing all the time. So the awakened person is able to watch this as a play of the ego. And when that happens, one step back is taken. That God knows best how to deal with His creation. I have to live my life day by day. My quotient is my peace of mind in daily living. And where is that to be found? It is not to be found in complaining. It is not to be found in criticizing. So that becomes the way of living life. And it's actually quite a beautiful journey, because it's a journey of disengaging from all this activity. It's really like a reverse journey. You're coming back to your center, which was all the time out and stuck onto things, your opinions, your views, your judgments. And this is more like a centering. Being present, being available, with a vacant mind, not a dull mind, a vacant mind which is not full of this garbage which we have collected from society. And then we are available for people. When our internal dialogue is not one of complaint and criticism, we are available. Whoever comes before us, we are fully present for them without this thing going on in the background. You see, that is what happens. The greatest gift we can give another is our presence. Imagine someone comes to you or you go to someone. Wouldn't you love it if that person's full attention is on you, listening to every word you speak? It's beautiful. That person is available for you. So when we explore these traits of the ego, when we look at these things, we start becoming more available. That's what happens.
Gautam, this reminded me that there are so many instances in the Charitra where Baba would come in any form. He could visit his devotee, give them darshan in any form, any being, any other human form. That for Baba's devotees, just sometimes even holding this pointer or remembrance in heart, as you rightly said earlier, that when you criticize another or pass these judgments within your mind, really you are doing it towards Baba. Because if you see Baba in all, if you even consciously criticize and make it conscious, sometimes this happens in unawareness. But if you make it conscious that, I am criticizing, I'm engaging in criticism rather, and it is of Baba, forget the other person or circumstance. And if you are really a devotee of Baba, then that itself, I think, could be the turning point.
It is, and as Maharaj would say, to criticize anything or anyone is to criticize the affairs of Brahman. God knows best, right? He doesn't need you to criticize his creation. That's the point. And as you were saying about, let's say Baba's tests, he would come in any form in front of his devotees. That is actually a real test. Because if we truly believe that Baba is omnipresent, omnipotent and omniscient, all-pervading, all-powerful and all-wisdom, that means any form which presents itself to us is a presentation of Baba, right? So this is how the masters test us. They may come in a form which immediately triggers us. That's the test. The test is that in your life, in all our lives, we have people who push our buttons. But when we see that they are acting out on their script, their blueprint which God created, we no longer start pointing fingers at them, how dare you do this to me, because we are seeing Baba in all forms. We may not like some forms, we are not sadhus here, but when we see things objectively, it removes the sting of personal doership, which is what my teacher would say, that he did this to me, he said this to me. When that sting is pulled out, we don't react like we were earlier with all that angst and venom and directed to an individual. We accept that this person is playing out their script. I do get triggered based on my conditioning. But when that personal doership is pulled out from the equation because everything is Baba, we find our reaction changes to more of a response. And even if there is a reaction based on decades of conditioning, the involvement is cut off pretty much immediately. So we don't go on and on like a stuck record, you see, like many of us do. Because something happens and then we just extend that all the time, that becomes our dialogue. So we may still react, but when this understanding comes that there's Baba behind everything, that involvement gets dropped. The result is always one and only peace of mind and harmonious relationships. And that is why this phrase is one of my favorites. We can agree to disagree with people without being disagreeable. We can agree to have different points of view. We are not here to enforce our point of view on someone. We are not here to put down another's point of view. We agree to disagree. We don't have to agree all the time. We are human beings. But even if we disagree, we don't make an enemy out of that person. We get along on other aspects. On one aspect, we may not get along. So we are no longer disagreeable. And that is why this, you see, life of duality, this framework of duality, which is up and down, front and back, left and right, pleasure and pain, polaric opposites of every conceivable kind, me and the other. What has happened is this me and the other became for us me versus the other. We are always versus people. My view against your view, my thoughts against your thoughts. When we start seeing that the same electricity functions through everyone, or let's say all forms are Baba's forms, the me versus the other gets healed back to me and the other. So the relationship stands healed. That is what happens.